Okay, okay, let's see. Alright. Green on. Good morning, chili dogs. What you focus on grows. Feed them horses. Alright, guys. We got 3 more pots coming your guys' way. I'm gonna get over there in a second. We're getting closer and closer. You know, June is going by real quick. July is on its way. In July, we're at a year, so you know we'll make it. So I'm pretty excited about that, right? But anyway, I'll see you guys in a second. Oh, wow! Look, I was so ahead of the game that I had so much power that I sucked all the battery life out. I'm gonna replace the battery now though, just because it's gonna make it easier for myself if I do. So I do this, I usually just pop this open, shake this down, there we go. Let's just give it a little double check there. How's that looking? Any weird things on the camera? No. Alright, green off. Green off. Sweet. Alright, so I'll turn that off. I got this going on right now. Alrighty. So, camera C. Camera C. There we go. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to empty this out, right? Yeah, this is a playlist from some of the Donkey Kong games, if you guys have ever played those. Alright. Some new water. Sweet. Right underneath. Somebody said they're from Morocco. Wow. Alrighty. We're gonna get this. Set our first bat down. Add some water on there. Take this. I usually just get off all that dust. That's why I never clean my bats, because you can usually just take off all the clay chunks on the bats just with your little knife tool there. Anyway, we're gonna grab our first chunk, right? And so here we go. Camera B. All Moroccans love ceramics. Interesting. Somebody said they're from Egypt. Alright. Then I'm right underneath. And so I'm pushing this forward just a little bit. I'm bringing this up. And we'll go to camera A. Camera A. Alright. Bring this one up here. Alrighty. You got one more. And so you go slow when you're at the bottom. Project that forward and then you bring that up, right? Why does everybody, again with the names? Sure. Claudio, I hope you're doing well. Alright, so here. Bring that around and you slowly bring this down, right? Wherever it starts to wobble, you're going to lower that right hand down. And you push this down. But I'm making trees, so that's what I'm doing right now. Bring this down. I push this up. Y'all are so funny. Alright, and then we're going to swap over to camera C. Hammer fist coming right down on top, bring this down. Will Patrick Swayze be coming up behind me to help me? No. PD, I made my own tree and tagged you. Did I see it? I have not seen it. I'll have to look at it right afterwards. Thank you so much for doing that. That's nice of you. I'll have to look at it right when I'm done with the stream. I feel like it's interesting that I don't just get called. Somebody said, hey, it's Julia from Scotland. I hope you're doing well. Alright, so we're centering this right now. Sorry, I was looking at the thing. Whenever I look at my chat, I can't, I forget that you guys won't be able to see what I'm doing on the clay. My hair? Oh yeah, my hair's kind of long right now. So, first thing, there's a lot of people in the chat, so it's going to take me, sorry if I miss what you guys are saying, you know. Kenzie? Yeah, sure. Hello, Kenzie. Alright, but I'm taking my two thumbs here and I'm pushing this down, right? I open this up and I check for some rabbits. Any rabbits in there? No rabbits. Okay, get some water in there. Can't have the tadpoles dry out. There's a little pond on the inside there, and I'm slowly ripping across this bottom edge. I always say you want to cut across that bottom edge, right? You don't want to pull or push all that clay, right? Think of it as 3 layers of a cake. That first layer, if you cut across that first layer, the top 2 layers are just going to follow, right? And so that's kind of my whole entire mindset, right? What's your favorite thing to make? Right now, well, I like making these trees. I feel like they're pretty interesting, you know, so I'm a big fan of them. But anyway, I'm going to bring my hand right on this top edge. I'm going to slowly bring this up and over. I'm going to slow down my wheel. And I always call this the llama pole, right? And you know what llamas love? I'll show you in a second. Camera B. Llamas love volcanoes, right? So this is the llama. Llama bites down, and it's those 2 lanes of traffic that push and pull. And that's what's giving you that... that thing. Keep spirit up, my friend. Love from China. Ah, thank you. Is thank you xie xie in Chinese? I'm not sure. But I appreciate it. Hello, hope the stream is going well. This has Bob Ross, it's so funny. How long I've been making pottery for? I've been making pottery for you know, I've been throwing on the wheel for a little over 4.5 years. But I've been around pottery for maybe 6 years, but I didn't really start taking throwing seriously. I used to do a lot of sculpting before, until I, you know, till 4.5 years ago. How much money is it to sub? Like, subscribe is free. A lot of pots. Good luck, dude. Aw, thank you. Alright. So right down, I'm going to push this little bottom part down. I'm slowly creating this little bump, and that's all pulling a wall is, right? They call it pulling. I always think it's more of a lift. You just define this little bump, and you just carry this bump up to the top, right? When you get to the top, or when you start getting a little bit thinner, you start to notice that the clay is going to want to warp on the bottom. Slow your wheel speed down. You can almost see the lines are a little bit wider, but as I'm getting to the top, you can see they condense, right? I'm slowing down, really allowing that wheel to work, right? Are you Christian? You are really humble. Well, I went to Catholic school when I was younger. But yeah. What am I making? I'm making trees. Any tips for people wanting to start pottery? Yeah, I think that, you know, when I've started pottery, I think I was really trying to hide my lack of throwing with little designs, right? I did a lot of facial features and sculpted elements on my pots, and I think it was really because I was insecure about the actual forms themselves, right? And so I think after I sort of understood and came to the realization that I was hiding my inconsistencies, then I got a whole lot better at throwing. But anyway, it's getting a little bit wobbly, so you can kind of see that little wobble popping through. That's okay. The walls are getting pretty thin, and it's a little bit soft, right? So the clay's a little bit soft, right? Usually I like to make my pots, I like the clay when it's really stiff, but right now the clay is really buttery. But anyway, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4. Set that down. Somebody dropped some fire emojis in the chat. Thank you. I'm going to slowly bring this out and go a little bit wider and slowly take this up. Alright, sweet. And so that's spinning and that's spreading out, right? This is why I call them the tree forms, right? I always think this kind of looks like a tree top. Right now it's a little bit thin, so it might tear. So I'm going to hurry up and I'm going to start addressing this bottom. This bottom is where people will slowly get rid of this, right? Or slowly want to take this off and trim it off, right? But for me, like, this is where all the potential is on the pots, right? And so I always like to say that, you know, most potters will cut this stuff off, but I don't trim, right? So I throw the bottoms really, really thin, so I allow there to be this extra thickness on this bottom edge here. I'll slowly take that up, right? Somebody asked me, how's my day? My day was cool. I did a private lesson today, which was pretty fun, with a student who's really, really good at sculpting. And right now we're making this giant volcano piece with a bunch of monsters all over it. And then I teach this class called Collaborative Vessel, where I make, you know, I make cups, or, well, I don't make cups, but I make the base forms for all my students. And then I come in every week and I say, okay, well, today, you know, here's 2 cup forms. Make them interact with each other somehow, right? You can kind of see it's starting to dip down, but that's going to be okay. Hopefully it rips, you know, rather than tips over. And so I had some really interesting things on my Instagram story. You'll see that one of my students did this one where they made a face, and on the face, in like the nose of the head, they had this. This is the petals, by the way. They had like straws coming out of the nose that poked holes, and so after you fill the cup up with enough liquid, all of a sudden, all right, camera C. All of a sudden, that the nose would hold on. I gotta tip this over for a second. There we go. I might totally dip down. But the nose would drip out into another cup that had its mouth open, right? And the tongue was on the inside of the cup. So it was kind of funny. Let's see. How's it standing? That one, it's holding itself up with the thing, but that one might collapse totally, you know? But we'll see how it survives when we get to the end of the stream here, you know? Sometimes they don't make it. And that's why I like to throw with really hard clay. When you throw with like soft clay, usually you can't really get that height and that structure that you want, right? Somebody said love from Colorado, Denver. Thank you, I appreciate it. Someone said best of luck, man. Thank you. Maybe while I'm prepping this, I'll show you guys one of my videos here. So I'll say camera A. All right. Goated 1.
What do you know? What the hell do you actually know about me, huh? Nothing! I'll tell you what kind of man I really am. I have no strength, but I want it all. I have no knowledge, but all I do is dream. There's nothing I can do but struggle and fail like an idiot.
Oh, you guys are so funny. I know. I only have 3 of them linked to my videos right now, but I have like 130 something of those edited ones. My newest ones on my Instagram is like my favorite one. But hold on, I gotta turn the Donkey Kong music back up. So I'm always doing some pottery stuff. Sometimes I feel bad. I hope that I'm not what is it called? Repeating my things so much for returning viewers. But I hope you guys understand, for new people who don't really know what I'm about, it's kind of good for people to kind of see. Alright, so we got one more on the bottom here, so I'm going to slowly bring this up. Alright, camera C, and so you guys can see what I'm doing from my point of view here. Alright, so I bring that around, catch it, and then I slowly walk my right hand up the side, and then I have that tilted, and the clay, if there's no clay underneath of it, right, it's really going to want to go straight down, right? You guys, oh my lord. Jesus Christ, guys. Alright, I'll slowly bring my fist down, right on this top edge here. And the key with this is you want to split the clay up into 3 chunks, right? And here I'll go. Wheel. There we go. So you're going to see what I'm doing here. So I'm splitting the clay up into 3 chunks. I'm keeping this hand right here, right? And I'm pushing this forward, and I have that on that third there, right? Slowly I'm going to bring this fist down, and I'm slowly going to bring that fist back right across. And so why is that getting everything on center? Is because I'm pulling all that off-centered clay out to the side here, and it's coming around and feeding right into that palm, right? You guys are so funny. Jesus has left the chat. Oh my lord, guys. Alright, anyway, I'm pushing this down on the inside here. You gotta always fill up the pond. You can't have the tadpoles dry out, right? And I'm always hooking my fingers. You know, I kind of always think of Captain Hook from Peter Pan, and I'm cutting through this bottom edge here. I'm not pushing the clay, I'm cutting through that clay. I like it when it feels like butter that you left out overnight, right? Alright, what are you guys all talking about right now? Man, come on guys, ask me some questions about the clay. Alright, we're gonna pull out the little llama here. So llama's bouncing around, right? We're gonna go over to camera B. Camera B. So here's llama. Llama bites down. You know what the llama loves? Llama loves volcanoes. So we're gonna slowly bring this up. Alright, sweet. And so here we go. We got the volcano. Have some water on the inside there. What are we making? A dog bowl? No, we're making a tree. What's your favorite thing you've made? Somebody asked me how long I've been doing pottery for. 4.5 years I've been thrown on the wheel seriously. What's your favorite thing I've made? That's hard. Probably one of the trees that I've been making recently. I do like some... I love Shino glazes, so a lot of my Shino glazes are my favorite. How do you keep the bottom flat and even when you open up? Usually I don't, but I think it's more of like... you have to just keep on doing it until it feels right. Sometimes I'll go back in with another pole, and then that's how I smooth out or I take my fingers back in on the middle, and I slowly pull that to the side, and that's usually how I get it perfectly flat on that bottom edge there. Somebody asked me another question, but I couldn't see. Oh yeah, how do I get the camera angle to change with my voice? I'm a gamer, so I use the gamer's thing to make it so my voice catches phrases. Donkey Kong, yeah. How'd you learn to do this? You know, I had some teachers, but I feel like my teachers never really sat down and taught me pottery because I was a drawing student, right? I was a drawing major. And so I feel like mostly I learned just from doing it. I told myself that I'd make cups for every single one of my students, right? Or not one of my students, one of my peers. And then I did that. So I made like 800 and something cups. And then in exchange, I asked for a 1-minute audio recording of their coolest memory. And that's how I really started getting good at throwing. And I'm still not good at throwing. I'm still working on my whole life, right? How many times do I mess up? I might mess up right here. Who knows? I mess up pretty often, though. I feel like if you're not messing up, right, every once in a while, then you're living in your comfort zone, right? I think the best thing that you can do, I think, for getting better in pottery is to live in an uncomfortable zone, right? When the clay starts acting weird, or like it makes you nervous when you're throwing with it, right? That's when pottery's at its best, right? And that's when you learn the most too, right? Alright, so we're gonna do that pole right there. What is it? It's gonna be a tree in a second? No, the guy streaming the chat, that's so funny. This tree's getting tall. It's a little tall, you know, so we're gonna go right down to this bottom edge here. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, we got one more. Stopped it too soon. Boom. All right, we got it. We're just gonna slowly walk up the spiral, right, guys? And you can kind of see that twist starting to form. As soon as you get that, we're looking good. Okay, a little bit of water on the inside. And slowly start pulling this outward, right? And I slowly raise my fingers up. And I kiss the rim. And there you go, I got a tree. Oh, somebody's in my... Bruh, Jesus is always here. Voice command, turn the Donkey Kong music. That's so funny. I should have, maybe, you know, I want to make some music. I haven't even been looking at my Instagram feed. Bro, Jesus is always here. Oh no, I was just saying because somebody on the Instagram feed was just commenting some stuff because everybody's going crazy when I'm throwing like inappropriate stuff. I made some knives. Those might be my favorite. Where/what was the first wheel you sat at? I sat at a kick wheel. Would you make the tree any thinner? Yeah, I think I could. I'd have to collar it again though. If you want, I can try on the last one. The thing is, if the thinner you make it, the harder the clay needs to be, or else it's just not going to support itself on that top. But the first wheel I sat at was a, what is it called? A kick wheel. And it was because my teacher, she's like, all right, you're a dude. You don't go on the electric wheel, you go on the kick wheel. And I was like, oh, okay. And so that was my favorite. What's your favorite art? I think my favorite art has got to be like, I really like tapestries, right? I was very fortunate for my high school. We went to Europe, right? And then all of a sudden, when I was at Europe, I got to go to the Sistine Chapel. And I think a lot of people cared a lot about the ceilings, right? They were all freaking out over the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, but I actually didn't really care for it too much. What I liked is before you get to the Sistine Chapel, there's a long hallway with a bunch of tapestries in very low light, right? I think oftentimes when you look at art or perceive art, especially in galleries, the space is so sterile, right? And I think there was something that was so calming and subtle about the subtle shifts and color changing, or the color shifts of the tapestry. So if you ever get to go there, I would go look for that. It's a bit tilted. Are you gonna fix it? No, I let them all kind of do their thing. You know, every single one's gonna tilt or twist or do their own thing. For me, like this one's totally ripping now, right? That's all part of them. So my idea for these pots is to make every single one, right? So I have a pattern or a structure of throwing, right? But there's so many moments for potential to occur, and I kind of try to respond to how each one is talking, right? If I would have known that this one was going to collapse like this, I probably would have done 2 long tendrils, and sometimes what I'll do is I'll have the tendrils launch in and reach into the interior. But I also like how when the rim dips down, it gives it a direction, right? That it almost looks like it's looking. And then sometimes too, you also get to see that interior spiral that's on the interior, right? Because normally, you know, you don't really get to see that stuff, but now that it's almost like peeking at you, it's looking towards you, right? I think it's kind of interesting. Somebody said F, somebody said H. Alright, so I'm gonna bring this up. Alright, yeah, somebody said a mushroom. I love kick wheels. What about doubling the weight? The weight of the pots? Yeah, I feel like... Alright, camera C. Camera C. So you guys can see, like, maybe I will, like you see over there, some of them are falling, right? Some of them have like this cool little double twist, right? And so every single one is kind of like a little bit different, right? Sometimes the tendrils go over top. Sometimes I open out the top all the way wide, right? Sometimes they're really uniform and a little bit more mundane. Sometimes I have like a nice little spiral on the bottom and then a small tree on the top. And so that's kind of my mindset with a lot of them, is just having them exist, right? I think of them as songs in an album, right? What a waste of space. Oh, wait until you see this. All right. Camera A. Camera A. All right. All the best and strong mentality. So that was one of the rooms I filled up. I also got rid of all my furniture in my dining room and living room, and I filled that up with pots as well. But I had to turn that off real quick. Somebody said they're all the same, pretending they're all unique. I mean, it's so funny. Somebody said, the same person said, what a waste of space. Yeah, I mean, that's fine, yo. That's all good. I mean, for me, you guys got to remember, again, like, hate comments, right? It's all cool. I don't mind the hate comments. I feel sympathy for people who post hate comments, right? They come into a space and they try to project negativity, right? And it's all good, right? I just feel bad because, you know, I'm here, I'm trying to build something, right? And instead of them going out, and that's what I hope my content can do. I hope eventually this can inspire some of you guys to go out there and start, you know, making something, right? Try to find value in something that may not have value, right? And try to imbue it with that value, right? And so I think when people come in here and they say negative things or inappropriate things, they're already losing in my mind, right? Like, I hope for you to go out into the world and discover something that fills your soul, right? And so that's kind of what my mindset is on that. Can we make a taller one with 2 servings? Yeah, I think so. You know, but right now I'm gonna chill with these. I have some drying, so hopefully tomorrow I have some harder clay. When you have harder clay, you can really go taller. You know. Can you make a cup? I've made a bunch of cups. Somebody said. It's so funny. I think this is the most I've ever had people comment on the thing, so thank you guys for stopping in and looking. Again, I'm pushing this down. Yeah, this is so funny. How many years have I grown out my hair? That's interesting. I forget that I have long hair sometimes. I hate how people always want... Yeah, that's okay, though. I think a lot of people, they like functional objects, but for me, I told myself before this, I want to make something that isn't functional. Sometimes function gives things a prescribed value, so I'd rather make things that don't have that innate prescribed value, right? Yeah, that's so funny. They do always be asking for cups. But I've grown my hair out for maybe 3 years. What about a vase? Yeah, I'll do stuff after, you know, after... I mean, I throw every single day. I've been streaming every single day now, but I've been making pots every single day for almost the past year. You can check the receipts on my YouTube if you want. But afterwards, I'll probably be doing some more things where I can just make some random stuff for you. Or maybe I'll make teapots and stuff. Can you give some deep advice on what to do with my life? Oh, the first thing that you need to do is you need to find a necessity, right? Like you need to find something that that drives you forward no matter what, right? And so sometimes, you know, it can be something very subtle that you kind of overlook, right? But then what I'd recommend you do is a lot of people, once they find that thing, they do it in short bursts and in high intensity, right? And I was like that for the longest time, right? I'd sit down, I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to stay for 24 hours and see how many pots I can make, right? But then I realized what makes you you is what you do every single day, right? And so long, intense, like I think most people think in like weeks, days, and months, but I think when you start thinking about it in decade and years, right? Like that's where real value starts to grow. Like that's where you get confidence, right? Confidence for some people is innate, right? For me, it's not innate, right? Confidence is built for me, right? And so that's some of my advice for you then. If you're really lost, you gotta pick something and you just gotta keep attacking it. Be that unrelenting force. Somebody said I'm Harry Potter. That's so funny. Take care of those ends. Yeah, my hair. Yeah, I do a really bad job taking care of my hair. Please read my comments. Sorry, I couldn't see what you said, Jessica. What else have you made in the past? I used to make a lot of cups and mugs, actually. That's all I made before, is cups and mugs. You do a lot of giving things away, right? Like some of my favorite things, I have this idea, I call them God sprinkles, right? And it's like something like really interesting happens. I'll tell you a little story, right? And so there was this gentleman who would open up the gate for me whenever I'd drive into school, right? And I'd see him every single day for a whole entire year, right? And also, I gotta switch over to camera B. And, you know, after this year ended, I was like, well, you know what? I see him every single day, you know, like, I want to give back to him. And so I made him a cup. And one night when I was leaving, it was like 11 o'clock at night, right? And I see that he's walking right as I'm driving up. He's walking to go to his car. I stop him and I say, hey, do you have a moment? I wanted to do this. I explained to him about my whole why I made this for him. And he looked like he was stunned, right? And he proceeded to tell me that this is actually his last day that he was working, right? Before he went on some like missionary trip somewhere, right? And I was like, oh, wow, it's so great that I caught you. Then he proceeded to tell me a story about how he asked a potter to make a cup for his son, right? Or a cup with his son's name on it, right? And the potter didn't get a chance to make this cup for him. And all of a sudden, you know, he goes and proceeds to tell me how he adopted his son, and his son moved back to his home country to teach youth, right? And to give the youth a better life and all this stuff. And then he said, you know, well, this mug, even though it doesn't have my son's name on it, right? You've given me the opportunity to talk to somebody about this. So you helped me imbue that object with my son's name, right? And that blew me away. You know, when I was talking to him, you know, he was shaking. He seemed like he was really moved, right? And I think those moments, like I call them God sprinkles, right? It's like these things that we often would just say coincidences, but they're not really, you know, coincidences, right? Like I like to imagine there's jars in every single moment as you go through life. You're presented with a bunch of jars, right? Filled with sprinkles. And you can choose to not open any of the jars, right? And that's totally fine. You can live your life that way. But you can also choose to pick certain jars out for every single moment. You can decide, right? I would always say, like, a lot of times people who don't have a lot of value in their life, they're not deciding to, you know, to pick these jars and, like, open. They're not attacking life. Also, I shouldn't have done this so early. I should have done a different thing, but anyway, you know, attack and pick out those jars and see if you get that God sprinkle, right? And so it's a choice, right? You have to learn how to see these special moments in life. You know, they're not just going to happen, right? You have to pitch yourself in the path of luck to hit you. Luck doesn't just happen, right? But that's kind of my mindset. But it was just such an amazing moment for me. But here I am spinning this out. I have all sorts of wacky moments with objects and giving things away to people like that. So it's really cool. Sorry I totally zoned out on that, but anyway. Somebody said, we love you from Russia. This is my first stream. I'm really enjoying your chill nature. I feel very at ease. Thank you. I appreciate it. So you can see I have a rip on this too. Thanks from the US. Maya, thank you. Officially yes from John. I don't know what that means. Guys, it's really okay. So like this is John, like John's a perfect example of people that you're gonna meet in your life, right? And so like what I would say is you got to be the biggest defender of what you allow into your brain, right? Like you can't allow that negativity to fester in your brain from other people, right? Like you only have so much in your mental CPU that you can do. Some have more mental CPU than others, but me, you know, I don't have a lot. So I've learned that I can't even let those types of people like enter my brain, right? Because as soon as they have any dominion over how you're thinking about your life, right, they control you, right? They own your brain. So don't let those people control your brain, you know. Thank you, Lucky the Puppet Dragon. I can't tell you guys how thankful I am for you guys to take your time. I always say the most valuable thing you can give somebody is your time. And so thank you guys for just being here. Looks like a large fig tree with roots, right? These are those same tendrils that I did on that second one, right? But these are just a double tendril, right? And so I always think that these kind of feel like trees, you know? You're being a lay pastor. I don't know what that means necessarily. Like a priest figure? I don't know. Pottery. Maybe that's my thing. Instead of pottery demons, pottery priest. I don't know if that's appropriate to say though. Somebody said hello from Iran. Hello, thank you for the roses. I appreciate it. Who says, what is up? This is cool. Alright, camera A. Camera A. Alright, pottery shelf. And so I'm going to show you guys a couple of them all together. So at the end I do a little pottery review, right? And so you see even the first one really collapsed. So you get to see that one too here. And so sometimes when the clay is soft, or you know, you can't really get that height that you really want out of the clay. Let's see. How's that look on there? You can see it a little bit. How far is that off? Nope, we're good. All right, guys, I'm not going to see the chat for a little bit. So, but yeah. All right, so here we go. If you guys didn't see the beginning, you guys will see how I end off the videos here. So it's pretty fun. But all right. Green on. Green on. Here I am, guys. Like, isn't this cool? I always think it's kind of fun. I'm like at the size of my my trees here, doing some dancing, some Donkey Kong country music. So wild. But anyway, we'll start over with this one. This is the one that I just finished. This one I really like when the tendrils start functioning less as pattern and more as appendages, right? I think I could have done a little bit of a better job on the top. I think I could have gone maybe a little bit wider too, and I think that the tendrils on this one, even though I did a double tendril appendage, I don't really feel like they're emoting human emotion with them, right? I like when the top is resting on them, or it feels like they're pulling something down. So that's something I would say about that one. This one, you can kind of see what I mean when they start to collapse and that rim starts acting as a framing device. I was talking a little bit about that earlier, but that twist on the interior, I think a lot of times people, if they just see the silhouette of the object, they're not going to be compelled to look on the interior. So I really like when that dips down, that rim starts acting as a framing device for the spiral on the interior. Something that Potter once told me is the sign of a potter, a good potter. I don't know if I'd call myself a potter even, but it's someone who pays attention to things that you don't see apparent, right? And so the bottom of a vessel, right, the foot is something that a lot of people focus on, right? And so in the same way, the interior space is usually not really considered, right? Because it's going to be filled with something. Well, these aren't really going to be filled with anything. So my way of considering the pot is to address that interior space. Anyway, we got the one on the top, and so you can see when a tipped over one is flipped to the other side, and I really like how you can kind of see those underneath the veins of the tree there. I think it's kind of interesting. And so I also did petals on that one. I had 4 petals, and they're pretty large petals, so I actually kind of like it. I think it's good to have some of those pots to help give more context to the album of pots. But anyway, guys, you know, you already seen the ending, so I'm gonna play it again though, so sorry if you're seeing it again, but all the best and strong mentality. Somebody said you're indeed a potter. So fun, thank you. Potting for just sculpture, you know, they're you know, my pots, they're not really for anything other than for my own mentality, right? I always say it's not what you do, it's all about what you do for your or what it does for your mentality, right? And so these are all moments, every time I do this every day, right? I'm gathering snow on my giant snowball that I'm building, right? And they slowly build up your confidence. So when I go upstairs and I go to edit this and I look over to my right and my left, and that's all I am, is I'm surrounded by the pots. I'm surrounded by affirmation that I can do the thing, right? And so sometimes you need to have that, you know, especially in the digital age, we're so consumed by our lives being able to be downloaded on like a thumb drive size, right? And so I felt that for me, a good antidote to that is surround myself with hours in my time taking up physical space. That last one is pretty cool in my opinion. Thank you, I appreciate it. It's a little bit unfocused, huh? Maybe a little bit, I don't know. Pottery Demon has become Pottery Goblin. Mushroom Head thing, okay. I've never heard pottery being expressed in this way. Thanks for sharing your passion with us. Yeah, pottery is always a battle, yo. I think that's, a lot of people see like even some people today, you know, they look at my pots and making and they say it's very relaxing. Yeah, for me it's not really relaxing. It's like a really stressful thing, but I like that battle, right? It's when that material is so honest, it doesn't lie to you, right? It really tells you when you're doing something bad, like, and you can feel it through your hands. Your hands are these data cables that are plugged into the material, and it's talking with you, right? And so when you're messing up, like, it tells you, right? And so I really like the honesty of the material and that battle between maker and material. Can you make a cat pot? You know, I have a lot of my students nowadays are making a lot of cat pots and cat whistles and things. I teach a lot of different groups of people. Thanks for answering. Yeah, of course. Somebody said boom, and then somebody said, have have you considered ASMR? You know, I have, but I have never really gotten into doing that, like the ASMR stuff. For me, like ASMR is kind of like a, uh, I don't know, it's more of like a niche thing. All right, camera C? Camera C? ASMR for me is more of like a niche thing, right? And it's more about how it makes somebody feel rather than the actual work that's being made, right? And so I think I'd do ASMR, but I think it'd have to be on a different channel maybe. But anyway, guys, thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.